going to work through the 2015 final exam. My intention is for you to use this as a tool for studying for the final on Monday, just to give you a sense of how I work through these problems, and just giving you a little bit more depth than a typical solution set would give you, right? Like just to show you like how I think through the individual of the problems, how I set them up, how I solve them. I hope it's useful. Without further ado, let's jump in. So the first question is about supply and demand. And we're given the market demand and the market supply for the good. Market demand is a function of the price, the tax that's levied on consumers, and the consumer's income. The supply is just a function of price. As price increases, firms are willing to produce more of the good. Right? Although we're not explicitly told this is a perfectly competitive market, so the first question is asking us, how does an increase in T affect the price of the product in equilibrium? So to solve this question, we're not given the equilibrium price. We're going to have to solve for the equilibrium price. And to do that, we have to set demand equal to supply. All right, so let's just write out some of the terms that we have here, right? This is 1, this is 1, this is supply and demand, right? Is that what this is called? Yeah, supply and demand. Okay, and we're given the demand function, which is 1,000 minus P plus the tax plus 2I. And we're given the supply function, which is 500 minus 2P. Yeah, 500 plus 2P. 500 plus 2P. Okay, and so, I mean, all these functions are, just to sort of connect this to the intuition or the theory, however you want to think about it, is that we have this upward sloping supply curve, right? As price increases, firms want to produce more. As price decreases, consumers want to buy more of the good, right? So we have these downward sloping demand curve, upward sloping supply curve, and we just want to figure out what the market equilibrium quantity and price are. Well, really right now we're just interested in the equilibrium price. Okay? That just means we have to set the functions equal to each other and then solve for P, right, to recover this P star right here. So we get 1,000, put the demand on the left side, minus P minus T plus 2I is equal to 500 plus 2P. Let's move this P over here and the 500 over here by adding P and subtracting 500 to both sides. So we get 500 minus T plus 2I is equal to 3P. Divide by 3. P star is going to be 500 minus T plus 2I all over 3. So P star, but actually the question is asking us about how the equilibrium price will change as a function of the tax. So as the tax increases, what is the effect on market price? Right? And so mathematically, this is what we're talking about. It's the partial derivative with respect to T, the partial derivative of price with respect to T. Right? And this is a really simple partial derivative to calculate, right? It's just negative T3. These are relevant terms. Obviously, we don't care about these other terms. They don't change when tax changes, when tax is increased, I should say. So we'll get negative 1/3. So price is going to go down as the tax increases, right? And this makes sense because it really these depend on the elasticities of these two curves, right? Who's bearing the burden of the tax? But generally speaking, it's not entirely passed to consumers, right? So the demand isn't perfectly inelastic. Or excuse me, it's not perfectly elastic. So some of the costs, some of the price is passed to consumers, some of the cost, I should say, some of the cost of the tax are passed to consumers, some of the cost is passed to producers. All right, let's move on to the next question now that we've got that one solved. We'll use a different color. Let's use like an orange. That'll look good. All right, how does an increase in income affect the quantity of the product consumed and produced in equilibrium? Okay, so we need to figure out what the equilibrium quantity is. We need to figure out what Q star is. This was all 1.1. We want to solve 1.2, which means we need to figure out what this Q star value is. We know what the equilibrium price is. We have it from over here. And we can plug that into our supply equation. Like this, plus 2 times 500 minus t plus 2I all over 3. So this is equilibrium quantity. You could simplify this if you wanted to, but because it's not asking for Q star directly, I wouldn't bother, because actually what we want to know is how Q star changes when there's a change in income. So again, we just take the partial derivative. This is going to be 4I over 3. That's the only term with I in it, so we don't care about the other ones. 4I to 3, this is like being raised to the 1 power, right? That's not really a 1, but you get the idea. Subtract 1, move it down, move the 1 down. This becomes I to the 0, which is just 1, so this is going to be 4 over 3, right? I hope you guys are okay with me sort of skipping out some of the very simple algebra steps, because I think that you guys can handle that. All right, so that's the first question. We got it done. So let's move on to the next question.